Do you like shopping on Amazon? I know I sure do sometimes. It is so easy and convenient. And while I love supporting my local quilt shops, sometimes they don't always have what I'm looking for there, or I just need one thing and I don't want a chance going there and spending a ton of money. Sometimes I'm trying to save. So, today I'm going to be sharing my 10 favorite quilt notions that I often purchase on Amazon. All right, the first thing I'm going to share with you is diagonal seam tape. I absolutely love this stuff. You can see I am getting close to being finished with it. It is my go-to use when I need to sew on the diagonal. I really love the diagonal seam tape, especially for sewing half square triangles. It makes it so much easier because then I don't have to mark corner to corner on all of the squares. The next thing I love to purchase on Amazon is pins. I have become quite picky with the different pins that I purchase. I definitely have some favorites. So I'm going to show you two that I love. So my absolute favorite pins right now, because they are long and thin and nice and sharp, are these magic pins. You can buy them on Amazon in packs of 100. I love them because, like I said, the length is perfect and the tips on them are actually heat resistant. So that makes it really nice as well. Now, the second favorite pin that I find on Amazon is this Clover pin because the head is nice and flat and they're actually really cute little flowers. Um, the only issue I have with these is they get bent very easy compared to the other one, but I do like that it has the flat head on it. Now you can see I have another pin in here and I'm slowly weeding these out. I don't love these and I don't remember what they are, but if you see that yellow tip, not my favorite. And it's mainly because, let me see if I can find one. So after a while, these pins, the top of them fall off. So I'll be trying to pull them out as I am sewing and I don't want to run over it. And when I go to pull it out, the top here just comes out. So my go-to favorites are definitely the magic pins and the Clover. Love them both. And I'll be putting a link to all of these items I'm sharing down in the description of this video if you are interested in any of them. All right, so since we just talked about pins, let's move on to another notion that I use for quilting that holds fabric together. I absolutely love Wonder Clips. They work really great for those thick, bulky seams that pins just don't work that well on. And if I am doing a binding and don't have some steam and seam, these work really well for holding the binding in place. I love having them and I feel like you can never have enough of them. I store mine in this cute basket that I made along with some of the other clips that I use for bag making. So yeah, Wonder Clips, definitely something that I keep in my sewing room and find myself purchasing more of a lot. Sometimes I have a binding just covered with them and I need a few for something else before I get the binding sewn on. All right, so let's move on to some quilt rulers. There are a ton of different acrylic rulers out there, and it's hard to know which one will work really well in your sewing space. And they can be quite pricey. I happened across this package of quilt rulers that are square because I needed a 9.5-inch square for a specific project. And I ended up going with this set because there were 4 in the set of different size square rulers. And I thought that was perfect because you can often find yourself needing a different size square ruler depending on the pattern that you're using. So getting this many for a great price was a big plus to me. But there are some other things I really like about these rulers that I haven't seen with other ones. So first, there is this lovely yellow line right at the 1/2 inch mark. I find it really handy because this clear part is perfect for lining up for a 1/4 inch seam if I need to trim or anything like that. Another thing I really like on this ruler is that the 1 inch lines are nice and dark. And then you can see these other yellow lines through here that aren't as bold, mark the 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch markings. Those are really helpful for lining up. And because they're different colors, I can easily see the 1 inch lines and then compensate for any of the other lines that I may need when necessary. There are also little notches along here for 1/8 inch markings if you need those on a pattern as well. So I have really enjoyed using these rulers. I'll tell you, they're not the absolute best on the market, but they have worked really well for me, and there's a lot of things that I like about them. And the price isn't bad either. And when I say they're not the best, there's like block locks out there that are really, really nice but expensive rulers that have a few more features on them that these don't. Now, another thing that is nice about these rulers is they came with these little grip dots that keep the ruler from sliding really easily. So they're not perfect, but they definitely keep it from sliding as easily as it does without it. That helps keep it in place a little bit better when you are trimming a block. All right, so while we are on acrylic rulers, let's talk about a trim tool that is one of my favorites that I'm always grabbing. It is the Tucker Trimmer 1, and I use this to trim 1/2 square triangles. So this trimmer is a Deb Tucker trimmer. She has a lot of rulers on Amazon, and I can tell you that I have loved all of them that I've purchased. Now, let's take a closer look at it so you can see what it is all about. All right, so this trimmer has a solid circle side, and it has numbers 1 through 6, so you can just trim 1/2 square triangles from 1 inch up to 6 inches. And then on the other side, the half moon side, you can trim 1/2 square triangles from 1.5 inch up to 6.5 inches. So you can really get a lot of use out of this one ruler. Now, can you use other rulers to trim 1/2 square triangles? Do you need a specific trimmer? No, but this definitely makes it a lot easier for me to trim them up, and I find it especially handy. Another handy quilt notion that I like to keep in my sewing room is Steam 2, and this is 1/4 inch. I've shown using this on a binding before, but I also like to use it when adding quilt labels to the back of my quilt. It definitely helps keep them in place while I hand sew them in place. There's a lot of nice uses for Steam 2. Another big staple in my sewing space that I purchase off of Amazon is quilting needles. I like to keep 3 types of needles in my sewing room. I keep quilting needles, universal needles, and jean needles. It's often nice to get these on Amazon because I can find them in larger packs, like a pack of 5 or even larger, especially when I've been sewing a lot. You really need to replace that needle. So, getting them in those larger packs, you can often save a little bit of money. So, something else that I often find myself purchasing on Amazon is 505 basting spray. I find that this spray works the best for me when basting my quilts. It holds it really well, and I never have any issues with it keeping it nice and in place. But you do really kind of have to use a lot of it, and I go through it more than I wish I did. So I will often find myself buying the packs of 3 on Amazon because you can get it a little bit of a better deal on them that way. So definitely something that I find myself purchasing quite often on Amazon. All right, so the last item that I'm going to share with you today, but definitely not the last item I find myself purchasing on Amazon. There is a lot more, but we're going to go with 10 today. Is a continuous spray bottle. I love these so much. I use them for my own spray starch if I didn't feel like making it again. I use it for the other spray starches that I sometimes purchase. And I definitely keep water in one of them. I love these continuous spray bottles because I don't find my hand getting as tired if I'm having to spray a lot of yardage and press it. Um, because once you pull the trigger once, it kind of sprays out for a bit and you don't have to keep pumping the spray nozzle. I know it's such a simple thing, but if you are prepping for a big quilt project and spraying a lot of yardage with starch to press, you can really tire out your hand. At least I do if I'm using a different type of spray bottle. So, those are the 10 quilting notions that I find myself purchasing on Amazon quite often. Let me know in the comments what your go to quilt notions are on Amazon. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.